just letting slide here is the 6 interceptions. It's like you only threw 6 interceptions. It's like, well, you took care of the ball, and then we just move on. It was a huge part of his game, led to a lot of wins. So
that's all true. And again, I think there is a very different discussion between rank the quarterbacks according to how good they were last season and rank the quarterbacks. Jared Goff last year was better than Dak Prescott. Jared Goff is not better than Dak Prescott.
He's pretty good.
I know you're a big Goff guy, so maybe I shouldn't have even used him as the example. But there are guys who have up or down years. Right. That does not instantly mean the last year's quarterback rankings are the quarterback rankings. And that's across all sports. And for the reason the quarterback wins thing can irritate me is because the Eagles are a unquestioned better roster than Cincinnati 2 through 53. Right. And it's not, and it'd be one thing if the Eagles achieved at the super high level and Cincinnati did nothing. The Eagles lost to a team in the Super Bowl by 3 points. That the Bengals lost to a team by 3 points one round before. I think the Bengals have better receivers, but it is very close.
Oh, it's very incredibly close.
The Eagles have the better running game, the better offensive line, and while the Bengals have a good last year had a good defense, I believe, and I think everybody believes, the Eagles had the better defense. So it was just the degree of difficulty was higher for Burrow. I just think Burrow's a better player.
And it's a lot like, too, when we discuss, like, say, top 7 players in the NBA. After you get past 2 or 3, it kind of revolves every year. It's going to be a little bit different. Mahomes is number 1, period. And it'll be that way for several years. After that, 2, maybe 3 through 6 or 7 will be different maybe every year based on what a guy did this previous season.
Okay. I just don't think Jalen Hurts should be penalized because he's got a good offensive line.
It's
not his fault.
So you're fine with him being
Well, I look at this top 10 list, and there's 4 Chiefs on here, but Tyreek used to be a Chief. But there was a point where Mahomes was playing with himself included 4 top 10 guys. We're never like, well, he's got all the.
They only had 3 guys in the top 100.
Yeah, but those just for the
top 10.
But hold on. But that was, by the way, used against him. That absolutely was. Mahomes was number 8 on this list last year. Mahomes was the year after he won MVP was number 4 there. So it absolutely has been. And I think one of the reasons Mahomes right now has ascended to a level above everybody else is because Tyreek left and they had this level of success. I do believe that.
All right. Meanwhile, during the NFL Network show, Chris Jones had some high praise for Jalen's Super Bowl performance. Take a listen.
He had the best performance in the Super Bowl that I've ever seen of a quarterback. Running the ball, throwing the ball, he balled out.
The way that he works, I expect him to get better and better every year, and I expect to play him in a lot of big games as my career goes on.
Okay, pretty good. Now, by the numbers, only Steve Young, Joe Montana, and Jalen Hurts, 370 combined yards, 4 touchdowns.
I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
Is this an actual Chief getting something on the board?
No, because
I mean, this really could be.
No, because I when Chris Jones been a Chief long enough, you're in so many Super Bowls. I assume what he's saying is literally the best performance he's seen the quarterback going against him. So he's better than Brady, better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's what you think he meant?
Well, he's not watching Mahomes. He's on the sideline studying film. Guys, listen, this is I thought Jalen was excellent in that game, but this is much like the divisional round against the Bills, where people were so amazed by what the losing quarterback did, they didn't stop and say, wasn't even the best quarterback on the field that day. Patrick Mahomes, in this Super Bowl, down 10 at halftime, had a perfect, not just second half, he missed, according to the smart folks that track every throw, he threw the ball 27 times, missed 1. Turned the ball over 0 times. In the second half, given where they got the ball, there were 230 yards total the Chiefs could gain in the second half. Mm-hmm. They gained 229 because they kneeled at the 1 to kill the clock. Every yard possible to be had against what was considered the best defense in football, forget the fact that he was injured, was had. And again, I'm not trying to troll Jalen Hurts, but the game also flipped on a Jalen Hurts massive unforced error. You can't say he was the best quarterback in the game when he's the quarterback who had the ball, dropped it, and it led to a touchdown for the other team when the other guy makes no mistakes. And the biggest, Jalen was a better runner throughout the game, but the single most impactful run of the game was the Mahomes 26-yard or 24-yard scramble that put them in the field goal range for the game winning.
You hit it on the head when you brought up the fumble. And Nick Bolton returned 36 yards for a touchdown. That changed the game. I could argue, take that away, and I could argue that Hurts played better than Mahomes. Then you could argue it was one of the greatest performances. But there is no way it can be the best performance when his unforced error, he didn't get forced to fumble. I mean, the defender was closing on him, but he dropped the ball. They were up 14-7 in the second quarter. If they score on that possession and they're up 21-7, it's a whole different ball game. And instead, Nick Bolton picks up the fumble, races 36 yards for a touchdown, and now it's 14-all. And so, and even if you want to say, well, the Eagles still obviously had a chance to win well after that, the fact is he made a critical error that may have cost him the game. So you can't be have been the best player on the floor or on the court, on the field.
Also, like, just take Mahomes' performance in a vacuum. He had a 131 rating, which was the highest rating in a Super Bowl victory in more than 20 years. He completed 78% of his passes, which was the second highest completion percentage in a Super Bowl victory in the last decade. I think, or in the last 15 years, I think only Breeze had more. The total QBR, which I'm not a huge fan of, the ESPN created that stat, it's the highest in a Super Bowl ever. And he did it in a game they were trailing. He had to be perfect in, while injured, against a team whose biggest strength all year was their pass rush. And so, and while everyone's talking about the field as if it only impacted not only one team, but one side of the ball, their defense, Mahomes is out there running for his life and found a way to keep his footing. And so I think it was because the total passing yard numbers are low.
What did he throw for?
I think he threw for 182 and then ran for another, I think 50,
Yeah,
or maybe it was 40.
50.
But again, he had very limited possessions. They went because of the fumble return, and because remember the story was how long those Eagle possessions were, and so he missed one throw the entire football.
You wouldn't say that. You're not trying to say Mahomes had the best.
No, I don't think he had the best.
There have been tremendous, even since Chris Jones been alive. All right, I mean, Tom Brady to come back against Atlanta and all that.
You guys don't like comebacks.
That was pretty good.
No. You don't like this.
I love comebacks.
What do you mean? Hold on. Why were they down 28-3?
Was it a 4?
He threw a pick six.
But he didn't throw 4 first quarter interceptions.
You guys don't like comebacks.
You
don't like
why
were you down 20? Why were you down 25?
I don't know. Why'd you like Patrick Mahomes threw for 180 yards but won the game?
No.
Because you know why? Because you like quarterback wins.
I was about to say that I think Brady, because I like comebacks. I like guys that overcome adversity, even if it's of their own doing. I think Brady's 28-3 comeback's one of the greatest. Nobody thinks of it because it was a blowout, but Steve Young's performance against the Chargers and Montana. No, I don't think Mahomes. I'm not at all arguing
Bradshaw's
it's the greatest quarterback
had some great
performance ever.
A 4-touchdown game.
But it was. I don't think Hurts was on the top 10 of the
if he doesn't make that fumble,
then maybe
that's a big if. Then that's a huge performance. But you can't erase that. You got to win it. But that play may have cost him the game.
One of the best quarterback performances ever in a Super Bowl was in a loss. Brady against the Eagles. That was an all-time performance in a loss, and I think this was a really good performance.
Brady dropped the ball there, though.
And Brady fumbled it at the end. Yeah.
He also missed a catch, so that's what.
Oh yeah, that's true too. So yeah.
All right, coming in at number. That's your Super Bowl wrap up in August. Coming in at number 1, the namesake of Mahomes.